Hi everyone, welcome back to our weekly Q&A here at CollegeVine. I'm Katie, and every week we record one of these Q&A videos answering questions that you've submitted via YouTube and our website in order to help you get a better understanding of different admissions topics. If you'd like to submit a question for us to answer in a future Q&A video, leave that question in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you're one of the first to see not only our next Q&A, but all of our other helpful tips on the admissions process. Let's get started with Henry's question for today. What should you weigh when deciding whether or not to play sports in college? First of all, in answering this question, let's specify that sports in college can take lots of different forms. Just within the National Collegiate Athletic Association, that's the NCAA, there are 3 divisions that represent different levels of skill and commitment. Outside of the NCAA, there's also usually opportunities to play sports at the intramural or club level. So sports in college can be anything from a huge, all-consuming commitment to just a more casual weekend hobby. If you're considering playing sports, you first need to decide which level of sports is actually on your horizon. Remember, in general, college sports are a higher level of play than high school, so even if you were a star athlete in high school, you might find that your skills just aren't up to par, particularly if you're going to a NCAA Division I or II school. If you're deciding whether or not to play sports in college, here are a few aspects you might want to consider. Number 1 is just level of play. So think about it this way. Most often, sports are not the defining feature in your college search. The majority of applicants are looking for schools that fit their preferences for things like size, geography, cost, program offerings. Sometimes these schools will offer a level of sports appropriate to your skill level, but many times they won't. Unless you're a truly exceptional athlete being offered scholarships, thinking about going pro, or training for national or even international competitions, unless you're one of those things, it's likely that the sports teams at the school you want to go to might not match your skill level appropriately. So you might find yourself attending a school with Division I or II athletic teams that are beyond your level of play. If you find yourself in this position, don't worry. Once again, there are almost always opportunities to play club sports if you choose to go that route. Another consideration is just time commitment. Even Division III sports will require daily practices and games at least once or twice a week. If you've struggled academically, plan to participate in multiple other activities, or just find time management to be a challenge at your current stage in high school, playing a college sport might make that college experience more stressful than you're really looking for it to be. Ultimately, you know yourself best. Will you be able to juggle a new and challenging course load while also fully committing to a team? If you're not sure about the answer to that question, you might want to talk to your counselor, current coaches, or any other mentors in your life to help organize your thoughts. And remember, while it's not recommended to join a team and then quit a few months in, unless you are on an athletic scholarship, there is nothing strictly binding you to finish the season if you just can't make it. Another consideration is social scene. If you're nervous about starting college and just not knowing anyone, sports can provide you with an instant circle of friends. You'll get to know students from every year on your team, you'll spend time with them almost daily, and often you'll even join them for meals and social engagements. Sometimes, actually, the social commitments of a sports team in college can be almost as time-consuming as the practice and games themselves. So being involved in sports can help you find an immediate group, and you're bound to make some great friends fairly quickly, which is an important consideration for many students. Another factor to consider is your identity as an athlete. So lots of students play sports throughout high school. Some even play sports year-round, whether that's a different sport every season or just one sport for the full 12 months. It can be difficult to transition to college and leave that major part of your identity behind. If you just know that you'll feel incomplete without sports in your life, you should definitely seek out ways to incorporate them into your college experience, whether that's through formal college athletics through the NCAA or through intramural teams. Moving on to our second question, Gracie asks us, does retaking a class for a better letter grade affect how college admissions offices see my GPA? I'm planning on retaking a class that I got a B+ in, and I can definitely make it into an A, but I'm just wondering if it's worth it. Great question. A lot of students ask us this. So when colleges look at your grades, they're not just looking at your GPA. They're weighing all kinds of factors, like the difficulty of your classes and your overall grade trend throughout high school. They also want to see that you're fully taking advantage of the opportunities available to you at your particular school. Let's clear up one common myth, and that's that a B+ is bad. Not really true. Most college admissions committees agree that they would rather see a B+ in an AP or honors class than an A- in a regular college placement class. That's because more challenging course loads usually indicate that a student is willing to extend themselves, work hard, and take on challenges, all important factors for an admissions committee. It's also important to realize how retaking a class will impact your GPA. When you retake a class, generally the grade you received the first time doesn't just disappear. Instead, there will just be an asterisk on your transcript indicating that you retook the class and the second class will be listed under the appropriate term with the second grade you received in it. Therefore, that first grade doesn't disappear. It's essentially averaged out with the second grade. The average between the B- and the A in terms of how it impacts your GPA is probably fairly minimal. More importantly, retaking a class doesn't really look impressive to a college admissions committee who is looking for students who make the most of their academic opportunities. A better alternative would be to take another class in the same field, hopefully at a higher level, and then do better in that class. That would create something that's called an upward grade trend, and admissions committees love to see upward grade trends. Aside from steady straight A's in the most challenging classes possible, upward grade trends are the next most appealing feature of a transcript. That's because they show that you are extending yourself, learning from your mistakes, and finding ways to be successful as you move through high school. The same things they would want you to do if you attended their college. Instead of retaking the class and showing the admissions committee that you can do better the second time around, we would recommend taking another class in the same general subject area and showing the admissions committee that you've learned from the past and are ready to tackle new obstacles and challenges as you move through high school. For our third question, Curly asks us, do colleges look at your grade as an A, B, C, etc., or do they look at the numeral like a 94.23 or an 85.67? If they do evaluate using a letter system, do they use A plus and A minus, i.e. if A plus is 95 plus and A minus is 94.99? Well, that's a great question because it highlights something that can be easy to overlook in college admissions. When college admissions committees view your application, they're not simply looking to see how well you've done in your classes. What they really want to know is how well you've done in your classes compared to other applicants who took similar classes at your school or at other schools like it. College admissions committees know that each high school has a different system for grading students. They know that an 89.5 at one school might be a B+, while the same B+ might be a different numerical grade at another school. Your high school determines how your transcript looks, and you can request a copy of your official transcript from your school's main office at any time. Note that sometimes those requests must be made in writing, but the general principle is if you're curious about what your transcript looks like, you can just stop by and ask to have a look. Remember though that the issue isn't really how college admissions committees view your letter grades or your transcript. What's more important is how they compare your grades to other students' grades, particularly if those students came from other schools, so they have to do some sort of standardization. That's why GPAs become a more powerful tool for admissions committees. While the college admissions committee can, and of course will, review your transcript, they're not nitpicking between 93 and 95 if your school even lists the grade numerically. Instead, they're looking at how challenging your course load was, what your overall grade trends were throughout high school, and how you stack up against other students with a similarly challenging course load. GPAs allow admissions committees a much more objective tool for comparing academic success among applicants. A weighted GPA in particular allows admissions committees to compare both your course load and your success in your classes to that of other applicants because it's weighted to the difficulty of the class. To learn more about that concept, check out our posts, Is Weighted or Unweighted GPA More Important? And also How to Convert Your GPA to a 4.0 scale. Both of those are linked in the comments below this video. Ultimately though, it's important to remember that grades are only a small piece of your college application. A successful application includes not only strong grades and challenging classes, but also an impressive profile of activities and desirable personal qualities evidenced by your essays and teacher recommendations. Now, our last question of today comes from Megana, who wants to know what types of extracurriculars would be beneficial for someone who is looking to attend an Ivy or at least an Ivy level school. So, first of all, it's great that you're thinking about your extracurricular profile, particularly if you do want to attend a highly selective school like one of the Ivy League set of institutions. While grades and test scores might get you past some of the initial application screening processes, these schools are really so competitive that those marks alone won't be enough to earn you an acceptance letter. Instead, you need to show unique strengths, interests, work ethic, and other personal qualities to set yourself apart, and your activity section is a great spot to demonstrate those qualities. Here at CollegeVine, we break down extracurriculars into 4 tiers, much the same way that college admissions committees weigh them when they review your application. The tiers range from 1 to 4, with 1 being the highest and most impressive tier of extracurriculars. We found that students accepted to top colleges like Harvard or other Ivies typically hold 1 or 2 Tier 1 activities, 2 to 3 Tier 2 activities, and then a handful of Tier 3 and 4 activities to round out their list. Tier 4 activities involve general membership and limited involvement in a team or a club. These are things like being in IM sports, being in the ensemble of a school play, or attending the weekly meetings of a school fundraising club. Many students in a graduating class do hold Tier 4 activities. They show some involvement in your school, but they don't highlight any particularly impressive qualities beyond just being able to attend an activity. Moving up the tiers, Tier 3 activities are those that indicate more dedicated membership to a team, club, and organization, and sometimes include some small distinction. This might be participating in competitions with the robotics team throughout the year, being the secretary of the French club, or playing on the varsity tennis team. All of those are Tier 3 activities. Some students in a graduating class will hold Tier 3 activities, and they show your dedication to a particular club or activity, but they don't really highlight super specific or distinctive leadership skills or areas of achievement. Moving up again to Tier 2, Tier 2 activities are the ones that include an involved leadership position or do demonstrate significant achievement or distinction. For example, you're the captain of the varsity track team, or you're the state champion in track, you are on the executive board of a large club, or you're maybe the champion of your state champion mock trial team. Those would all be Tier 2 activities. Only a select few students in a graduating class will hold multiple Tier 2 activities, so they're fairly impressive to an admissions committee. And lastly, we have Tier 1 activities. Those involve rare, superior leadership or achievement, and often they're completely unique to one applicant in the pool. One example of a Tier 1 activity is writing a business plan and then enacting it to found and manage a school store within your high school. That achievement would combine the leadership of creating an entirely new institution with the school with some savvy skills in business, which would be useful if that was your particular major. Another example would be winning the Google Science Fair with an independent study project. These Tier 1 accomplishments are the most impressive to admissions committees, and having even a single Tier 1 extracurricular on your application will showcase leadership, distinction, ambition, and skill that will help you to stand out in the process. So if you want to get into the Ivy League, you should use the activities section of your application to highlight the activities and accomplishments that will ultimately make admissions officers stop and say, wow, that's different and unique to this student. Aim to achieve as many Tier 2 or even Tier 1 activities as possible if you do want to impress the most selective colleges. That's all for our 4 Q&As today. Thank you to those who submitted questions, and hopefully those answers were helpful not only to our question askers, but also to the rest of you. If you have a question that you want answered, remember to submit that question for the next video in the comments below this video. And if you're looking for free guidance on your essays, applications, and more, don't forget to visit us at app.collegevine.com and sign up for a free account. See you soon for our next Q&A.